Hey friends, welcome to day 14 of QuaranTunes. 2 solid weeks of QuaranTunes, just like the Breakfast Club, motherfuckers. Damn, that's pretty sweet. Didn't really sound like I meant it though, is it? I got a special one for you today. Guess what? It's finally gonna be our 420 spectacular celebration. So this is a special edition of QuaranTunes After Dark, which basically just means we're going to talk about the real shit. Am I right? So, one toke over the line is what we're going to do. I promised it last week. I'm going to do it today. I have the chords up and ready to go. But first, I wanted to share with you a story because it's QuaranTunes After Dark and you all love my stories so much. So I'm going to tell you all about the first and so far only time I've ever had any marijuana at all, because it may shock most of you that see me do this thing and think, wow, God, what a bad boy. Am I right? I mean, look at him. He's just, such a bad boy, obviously. No, I'm pretty much a goody two shoes most of the time. As I mentioned in another video, don't really drink at all. I don't even really drink coffee, for that matter. No, pretty much just a little soda pop every now and then when I'm not drinking QuaranTune's favorite sponsor, water. And we've got green cup today, because of the good old devil's lettuce. So drink up while I tell you the story. It could take a while. I don't know. But yes, my story. So, growing up, this shirt is a little tight, but it looks good, doesn't it? Jurassic Park. Um, never went into never had any marijuana. Never was offered marijuana growing up. Never any of it. I watch all the movies, I listen to all the music, and it's like, they talk about it like, oh, that could be interesting. But high school, no, nothing. No one ever was like, hey, you wanna, you know, you know, no, nothing. Never in my life. Never happened. And I went through college. Again, nothing. No one. No one was ever like, hey, you wanna, you know, the most exciting thing I did in college in terms of party is I went to like my first actual like drinking party, and I got pretty buzzed off a fucking like Coors Light or something, because that's all they had. Silver Bullet from Colorado, but what a shitty beer, honestly. And if there was any other illicit substances, I was not privy to them. Nobody offered me anything, so thanks a lot, guys. What the fuck? But my first and only experience with pot happened 3 years ago, summer of 2017, I believe. I'm very good with dates. It's not that I just have such a fond memory, although this is a pretty fond memory because it's hilarious. You'll find out. But, so, some of you may know that I'm a pretty big trivia buff. I enjoy going to do trivia competitions, pub trivia kind of stuff. I'm an excellent pop culture kind of guy. I know all that shit. And some other academic type stuff. Science and math, though, I mean, fuck off. No, absolutely not. No, no. But, so we knew a lot of people for this trivia stuff. And our trivia team is basically made up of a lot of my wife's kind of doctor friends, because that's what we were doing at the time. We were doctoring. She was in her residency, and so she was big friends with these people, and they like trivia. I like trivia. We like trivia. We went and did trivia. So we had this trivia group, and some of these people were residents like her, and then also like medical students that were going to the same thing, that were graduating and moving on to their residency. So this was like a going away party of sorts. And so we go to this going away party. And it's like, I mean, There's drinking, sure, but it's mostly, it's a bunch of dorks that are into like trivia. So it's mostly just like a lot of games, like Cards Against Humanity or some shit, some other like fun, just kind of party games, whatever. Pause while I take a drink of our sponsored water here. So it's just like a fun little get together, not much happening. And then maybe about halfway through the party, I'm kind of standing off to the side. I've got like a drink in my hand. I'm just kind of watching what's happening. And one of the hosts of the party, this was a couple, a guy and a girl. The guy came up to me, kind of sidled up beside me, and he was like, "Hey, you want to go smoke some pot with me?" And I was like, because here's the deal. Again, goody two shoes. I never been exposed to that before. I mean, I'd always like imagined it, happening and thinking, if it ever happened, why not? What's the harm in it? It's fucking marijuana. What's it gonna do? It's not fucking heroin. So I'm like, okay. He's like, so he takes me out back. And he's got like this little like sort of shed kind of thing. They were like renting a house and there's this weird shed thing in the back. And I mean, you open the door and immediately, I mean, it's, you know what it is. If you've ever, smelled marijuana, you know that fucking smell, right? I mean, he opened the door and it was just like, it just hit you like a fucking Mack truck. So I was like, okay, here we go. Let's fucking do this. So he packed a little bowl and he was like, all right, I'll take the first hit. I'll show you how to do it. You put your finger here, all this stuff. And I was like, oh my God, what have I gotten myself into here? And so he's like, hands it to me and he's like, oh my God, what am I doing with this? I feel like such an idiot. And he just, I did it. I started smoking. And again, I've never done anything like this before. I've never smoked a cigarette, let alone fucking pot. And I mean, have you ever done that, that fire in your lungs and you're just like, you're supposed to hold it in, right? And it's just like, this is killing me. I'm going to die. And it's just, immediately you're like, absolutely ridiculous. So I'm just like, okay. And he's just like, all right, you got to take another hit now. And I just went back. He did it and I did it. We kind of went back and forth for a bit. And he was like, okay, let's chill out, take a break. He's like, you want some water? I get you some water, Cottonmouth. He took great care of me, guys. He gave you the whole dry mouth spiel and all that. And he's like, gives me this cup of water, which, I downed like immediately. And we're like talking. We go back inside the house to the party. And I'm immediately paranoid that literally everybody in that house knows exactly what I did. I'm just so positive that they can smell it on us, that they know. They just fucking know. Meanwhile, in reality, I mean, they probably didn't even notice we were fucking gone, honestly. But I'm just like drinking my water and just looking around the party like, I know, I did this, I know, it's written all over my forehead, obviously. And he's just like standing next to me, just like talking at me because I'm not even listening because I'm just so like, and he's like, oh yeah, it's great for music, like, yeah, it really opens your mind and all this stuff. And he's just like, blah, blah, blah. He was like a weirdo, like, online blogger or something, like political or like legal, something really out there that's like, he should have been like an interesting guy, but he wasn't interesting in like a oh way. He was more interesting in like a oh way. So I never really talked to him before, even though we were in this group, but the group was pretty big. But this is like the big time that we talked, and I just, none of it. I retained like none of that information you told me, because holy shit, when he had a little pot in him, he was off like a goddamn rocket, and he was just talk, 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 talk. Jesus Christ. And I'm freaking out, whatever. I'm like, oh God, everybody knows. Everybody knows. My wife knows. She knows. That look she gave me, oh my God, she knows. And at some point, he's like, hey, you want to go take another hit? And I was like, well, I'm already in this deep. Fuck it, let's do it. So we go out back again, and we do it again. And he's like talking. He's like, hey, you're doing pretty good for your first time. I'm like, thanks, I guess. And it's so funny because I told y'all yesterday that I worked at a school with little kids. Before that, I worked at a high school with older kids, obviously. And this one kid, he was like, he must have been like 15 or 16. And one day he came up to me. He's like, hey, you smoke pot, right? And I was like, excuse me? What? It's like, yeah, you smoke pot. And I'm like, why would you say that? He's like, man, you're so cool, you're so chill. Like, you're a fucking stoner, man. I know. I fucking know. And I was like, no. And that's not me being like, don't do drugs. That's me saying, no, I've never done this before in my life. I went to all those DARE assemblies as a kid. Okay, I saw that DARE lion. Nancy Reagan gave me a t-shirt. She didn't give me a t-shirt. Fuck her, by the way. But I remember those fucking assemblies in grade school. Oh my God, how ridiculous. But anyway, yeah, like, apparently I just have this really super chill vibe, which obviously all of you are very aware of, very calm and cool. I am the dude, right? I am the dude. Except I don't really ever smoke pot except for this one time. Anyway, tangent over right there. Back to the party. So I'm like, eventually I'm like, okay, I think I'm good. This is the first time I think I've had enough. So we go back in, and I'm just still just like freaking out. The whole rest of the party, I'm just like, everybody knows, I'm fucked. The party's over. Time to go home. Now, this happened on like a weeknight. Like, maybe it was like a Friday night. And my wife had been working at the hospital. She came directly from the hospital to this place, so I had driven myself. So we had separate cars, and we had to drive home separately. And obviously, I'm in major freak out mode. Like, everybody knows what I've done. I gotta act natural. So we drive home, and I'm driving so goddamn slow. I mean, I don't know how far I'm driving under the speed limit, but I'm definitely like, snails are passing me on the drive home. And by the time we get home, my wife is like, what? Why were you going so slow? And I was like, shut up. I'll tell you in a minute. Because my parents are at our place watching our daughter, who was like 1 at the time. I'm like, once they leave, I'll tell you. But I'm sure, like, she can smell it, right? She must know. She just wants me to say it to her. But we go inside, and my parents are like, hey, did you have a good time? And I'm like, yes, we had a great time. Bye. And again, confident that they can smell it on me. They know what I'm doing. They know what I did. Eventually, I get him out the door. And my wife is like, okay, what the fuck is wrong with you? And I'm like, I smoked pot with the guy. And she's like, oh my God, really? She's like, you bastard, you didn't tell me. Not that she would have done it, because, yeah, they're doctors, and, like, there's probably, I don't know if they had to do drug tests, but that was, like, the guys. He's like, they're a bunch of doctors, and he and I were, like, the only ones that weren't doctors, so he's like, you're cool, let's go do this. And again, that is the one and only time I've ever done any illicit drugs. And it was miserable because I was so worried that I would get caught the entire time. It wasn't even fun. But all you people that are out there doing stuff now, that things are more legalized and all that shit, I guess more power to you. Whatever. Will I ever do it again? Well, that all depends if somebody offers it to me, I guess. Whatever. Anyway, we should probably get to this song because I've spent like a long ass time talking about that story. But that was a funny story. It's a great story. I'm sure you all enjoyed it. So let me just take a drink of this and we'll hit the Brewer and Shipley classic, One Toke Over the Line, which I honestly don't know any other Brewer and Shipley songs. So, I mean, it is what it is. I've only practiced this once, so I'm probably due for a few mess ups, but you know what? I'd probably do about the same if I was actually like on pot, so like it's probably pretty much about the same performance, right? Here we go. One toke over the line, sweet Jesus, one toke over the line. Sitting downtown in a railway station, one toke over the line. Waiting for the train that goes home, sweet Mary, hoping that the train is on time. Sitting downtown in a railway station, one toke over the line. Ooh, do you love? I hope it's me. I've been changing, as you can plainly see. I felt the joy and I learned about the pain that my mama said. If I should choose to make a part of me, it surely strike me dead. And now I'm one toke over the line, sweet Jesus, one toke over the line. Sitting downtown in a railway station, one toke over the line. Waiting for the train that goes home, sweet Mary, hoping that the train is on time. Sitting downtown in a railway station, one toke over the line. I'll sail away a country mile, and now I'm returning and showing off my smile. I met all the girls and I love myself a few, and to my surprise, like everything else that I've been through, it opened up my eyes, and now I'm one toke over the line, sweet Jesus, one toke over the line. Sitting downtown in a railway station, one toke over the line. Waiting for the train that goes home, sweet Mary, hoping that the train is on time. Sitting downtown in a railway station, one toke over the line. I'm just waiting for the train that goes home, sweet Mary, hoping that the train is on time. Sitting downtown in a railway station, one toke over the line. I wanna be one toke over the line, sweet Jesus, one toke over the line. Sitting downtown sitting downtown in a railway station, one toke over the line. Don't you know I'm just waiting for the train that goes home, sweet Mary, hoping that the train is on time. Sitting downtown in a railway station, one toke over the line. Sitting downtown in a railway station, one toke over the line. One toke over the line. One Toke Over the Line, Brewer and Shipley, QuaranTune's After Dark, Day 14. Hope you enjoyed that long spiel, that's long ass video. Thank you for watching. I'm such a goody two shoes. Isn't it adorable? If you are interested, though, I have another story about the only time I ever really got into trouble in school. Not many of you know. Some of you know. I've told some of you. If any of you are also interested, I'll do that in a future video. It's fucking hilarious. It's way funnier for me to actually like legitimately talk and tell it. So if you're interested in that, I'll think of a good song to play on that edition of QuaranTunes. But thank you for tuning in today. Let me know if you want to hear that one. Hope you enjoyed my ridiculousness about the first time and only time I've ever smoked marijuana. So happy 420, everyone. I know we're late, but fuck it, right? Thank you for tuning in, guys. Stay gold, keep the fire.